The film that has been chosen to analyse is I, Daniel Blake. It's a social commentary on the hardship facing the marginalised groups within Britain. It is created by director Ken Loach, who creates his content around the reality of power and class relations in society. I, Daniel Blake explores work, employment and society and its cross-relation between these three areas when an individual is made unemployed. It explores the detrimental effect that unemployment can create for an individual mentally, physically and socially. It contains a political ideology to the audience, portraying a depressingly raw, yet a gripping, powerful and humanizing struggle of an individual struggling to navigate the bureaucracy of the British benefit system when faced with dependency on the state. The main protagonist is Daniel, who is a widowed carpenter who has suffered a heart attack and has been told by his doctor and physio that he is currently unable to work due to the low levels of his health. This proves frustrating to Daniel, who is portrayed as an extremely keen man, keen to return to work, as this has been his livelihood, and the film shows close-up shots of Daniel practicing his trade in his spare time, as a hobby too. He's seen constantly carving items and fixing furniture and household appliances, while regularly visiting his old job and keeping in contact with his fellow employees. Daniel attempts to file for a disability allowance assessment, which gets rejected and is deemed fit for work by a healthcare professional who is not qualified as a nurse or doctor. Daniel is forced to file for job seekers allowance and is told that if he doesn't seek employment, his benefits will be stopped. The film shows the state's conscious cruelty and the ironic difficulty of simplistic bureaucratic moves. With a power relationship language barrier and extremely frustrating communication errors between the state and the individual, portraying the struggles of alienation and oppression when one is situated in the peripheral of society. The computer Daniel uses to sign up for benefits and apply for jobs constantly repeats error, which is evidently the word to summarize the film's moral, and holds a strong ideological and cinematic function as it is constantly repeated throughout the film. The Employment Support Service professional rejects Daniel's assessment, finding error within it. The woman assessing Daniel's work seekers allowance finds error in his capability and sanctions Daniel, which cuts his benefit. This is all circulated around the interweaving theme of error and communication struggles. Daniel claims the system humiliates me and grinds me down. When you lose your self-respect, you're done for. The system failed Daniel, who is deemed incompetent and unworthy of basic civil rights. Daniel is shown taking the life-depending risk of signing off job seekers allowance in order to try and receive and appeal for disability allowance. Ken Loach portrays Daniel as a character that embodies resistance and revolutionary strength against the system, who refused to be spiritually broken down and dehumanized by the state, no matter what the outcome would be. The film uses the building of the government allowance as a cinematic symbol of helplessness, oppression and the self. The other, Daniel, is exiled and silenced by this building and the centre of the state within it, although all he seeks is help. As Daniel is on the periphery of society with no voice, he defaces the face of the state with graffiti, demanding his voice to be heard, and for his opinion, now spray painted on the external of the building, to permeate into the interior of the building, state and its members, and for them to internalise his externalised voice. He wrote, "I, Daniel Blake, demand my appeal date before I starve." The film shows Daniel without a meaning or purpose in society, and he ends up suffering a severe experience of depression and loneliness, becoming completely trapped in isolation. It displays how the individual is punished for his unemployment and poverty in society. Eventually, the court issues an appeal for support allowance, with Daniel's doctor and physio furious, but just before Daniel's hearing, he dies. To conclude, I, Daniel Blake is a prime example of a film dealing with the effect on an individual existing on the marginalised peripheral of society, due to unemployment. It portrays the reality of human existence and its deterioration when one becomes victim to losing their purpose in life. The film ends with Daniel's dear friend Katie, who claims the state from him to an early grave. The state brought him to an early grave, and continues to read Daniel's posthumous testimony at his funeral, which represents the core theme and moral of the film, and its link with the individual's position within work, employment and society. My name is Daniel Blake. I am a man, not a dog as such. I demand my rights. I demand you treat me with respect. I, Daniel Blake, am a citizen, nothing more and nothing less.